So there, the government doesn't have to procure. So you remove away the concentration too much in Kilimo House, so that farmers are able to procure from agro dealers eventually. Thank you.
Yes, Junet, you'll pass?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the nominee. And I've looked at him very, very keenly, Mr. Speaker, very seriously. Mr. Speaker, the question that's worrying me is that the biggest problem in this country, in terms of when we approve people here and in terms of governance, is the Ministry of Agriculture. There have been problems from the last 5-7 years I was in Parliament, from the previous ministers to the one that we approved here who are 30 cases, plus now the PhD holder who has arrived here. Mr. Speaker, I want this nominee just to prove to this committee how he is going to deal with these cartels and this corruption in agriculture. Because if we were to describe corruption in the biggest problems when it comes to corruption also, how are you going to work with the industries locally here to develop a fertilizer manufacturing program within the country here so that this issue of importation of fertilizer can end? So if you can prove those two things, for me, I'll be satisfied. Because I know after 1 year, you will be walking jobless in the street, I can assure you. I can tell you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Junet, for your questions. I know dealing with cartels is a big issue, and there are many formats and very many forms. But if I am approved by this House and this committee, I'm saying I'm giving a notice on cartels. Notice that they will be out of business. In the fact that my background is that, and one of the principles which I hold very dear is integrity. Is having the country's and the farmers' interest at first. So I will deal with them. We will do whatever it takes.
Utatembea na nyundo.
I will do whatever it takes, Mr. Speaker, to deal with them, putting systems in place, as I said, governance structures, making sure that I involve all the agencies of the government. I'm sure the government of Kenya is capable of and have agencies which can deal with these cartels, and I will be in the forefront for that.
Nelson?
On the development of the fertilizer, it's a good one, because we need to develop the local industry. What is happening today is that most of the manufacturers we have are for bleeding. They are not for manufacturing of fertilizer. And it will be good to explore further whether they can, apart from bleeding, which is important, because we need to blend for coffee, we need to blend for tea, we need to blend for various crops. We need also to go a step further and do the manufacturing of the fertilizer. So if I'm approved, this is one of the agenda I would like to pursue.
Nelson Koech.
Thank you, Speaker. Daktari, there is a crisis in the tea sector. Tea prices at the Mombasa auction were on a downward trend in 2022, forcing the government to establish a minimum reserve price of 2.6 USD for teas from the east of the Rift and USD 2.4 for teas from the west of the Rift. This initiative was aimed to stabilizing the market and addressing the declining tea prices at the Mombasa auction. However, the current pricing structure has resulted in several millions of teas being unsold, thus resulting in stagnating in warehouses and facilities. What strategies will you employ to alleviate this situation? Additionally, is the government interference in the manner necessary in a free market, and how can it be balanced to ensure that market stability without causing an adverse effect?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Nelson Koech. Yes, I'm seized by this issue about the minimum price, which has been set of $2.65 US and 2.4, and that unattended, what I would call effects, which is the piling up of the tea in the warehouses in Mombasa. This is a serious issue because it affects the incomes of our farmers, of tea farmers. And the intention was good, but I think going forward, we have to review that policy. It has to be reviewed with all the facts on the table. I would take the charge, when if approved, that if necessary, we don't have to create this price setting. We have to say, let it go so that it is a free market, but it needs to be carefully, cautiously done so that it doesn't impact negatively on the incomes of our farmers. So I will review that policy of the pricing, whether we need a market-driven or a setting price in the tea sector. Thank you.
Posing.
Thank you, Speaker. And at least the nominee, in his 62 years, has at least found some time to find motivation or work in public service. Not like others who are going for retirement and they are forced to join public service. So my question to the nominee is this. Is coming in at a time when we can view or see agriculture as dead, which is actually supposed to be the backbone of this country. But the sector is dead. And what I mean, Honorable Speaker, is if you look at outlet, which is market of agriculture, is dead. All manufacturing or value addition to motivate farmers to do their farming is dead. If you go to maize, the outlet or the market is dead. If you go to pyrethrum, we used to do very well in my constituency, and for the nominee, West Pokot also grows pyrethrum at one point. But the exit of market is dead. You go to milk, is dead. Tea is dead. And you have been in public service. And suppose this committee and parliament approves you, I would like to know what you are going to do to improve this sector, particularly the value addition. Because if there's no value addition, then there's no motivation for farmers to do farming. What are you doing farming for? You don't get any money. And therefore, maybe you need to tell this committee, then how will you treat this market or outlet so that it can motivate now farmers and your work will be more easier. Number two, agriculture is basically devolved. Almost 100% devolved. It's almost like health. So in this sector, we are interviewing you, and yet the backbone of agriculture is at the county level, which National Assembly cannot access. So how will you work if you are approved? Because unless you work with counties, then your work will be theoretical, and maybe now dealing with cartels, or even those cartels might also change you to become a cartel. And as Honorable Junet says, you might find yourself no job in a year. What do you want? Would you like to propose a nexus between yourself or national government with county governments? Like, for example, having a summit between the Minister for Agriculture and all ministers of counties' agricultures. Like having a summit, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. Like in health, doctors have succeeded to link national government with county governments. But there's no link within agriculture, national level and county level. What will you do in those two areas? Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Dr.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Kosin, for that. Yes, I agree with you. There's the challenge of agriculture as it looks at the moment. Because when you look through the figures and the statistics, it indicates that despite agriculture being the backbone of our economy, we are not doing very well. When it comes to even our exports, we are not doing well. We are importing a lot of food into this country, almost worth about $4 billion. A lot of food in terms of when it comes to wheat, rice, edible oils. So we have a tall order in terms of going forward. And food security sometimes is threatened when it comes to maize production. But the last season has proved, for instance, that with good interventions, like the subsidized fertilizer, despite the problems, we can still have food security, where we produce over 48 million bags, and farmers are able to, and the country is able to have semblance, a good food security. So I would first of all approach food security as one of the key areas in terms of making sure the farmers have, when approved, the farmers have those inputs, especially the fertilizer, as indicated before. The food security is also about making sure that those inputs are delivered on time and they are good quality. And the other issue, which is related to your second question, is apart from inputs, farmers need services. And these services are to be provided according to the Constitution. These are functions which are devolved, like extension. Extension, I would dare say that where I started those years ago, I feel pained to see what is happening. Extension, as we know it, is dead.
Completely.
Yes, it is dead. You go to the farmers have left to be their own devices. They don't know what to do. And agriculture is about technology. Without the appropriate technology, you can do very little in terms of productivity. So this issue about engaging the counties will be, if I'm approved, will be one of my greatest and clearest priority, in that I will use all the structures which are provided, the intergovernmental structures, to engage the counties, to see what we can do, capacity build them, to fill the gaps. I was also thinking about even what is happening with the health sector, the model where the government, the national government has the health promoters. Can we have agri promoters working in the counties from national government? So those are areas which will be, as it has been suggested by Honorable Kosin, we can have a summit where we can dwell on these issues with the agriculture committees of the House, so that we move forward. Because without extension and delivery of services, we are just doing the margins. We are not doing very, very much. We need support to our farmers. Thank you very much.
You are aware that formulation of agricultural policy, even where it's devolved, is still vested in you. So you have to formulate proper policies and cascade them down to the counties. Gikaria?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just want to follow up on what Kosing was saying on devolution in agriculture. There are so many state agencies and regional developments which are duplicating what is being done at the county level. My question